episode 28, the last episode of our Amityville mini retrospective here. I say mini, but it's been 8 fucking movies. But mini in the sense that there's over 25 or so.
25. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Which we'll get to eventually, but we're done with Amityville for a while.
Would you say this is the most? Would you say this is the most famous of the direct-to-video cursed objects movies?
I don't know,
of, like,
because
the 90s stuff.
This was the very last one that I ever saw. If I'm being honest.
I've never seen this one till now.
Well, I'm saying like, I haven't seen it, but I'm saying like the case being in your VHS store or in your DVD store. You know,
I saw it in like the like video warehouses kind of thing. I don't know if you guys have those. I don't know what their region looks like, but they had it on DVD.
Yeah. That's
like back when I was in college, I had seen it. I know this came out like in '96. But I always just thought that it was don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing, and like, oh, holy shit, that looks fucking awful.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. Like that's what I mean. Like, not that the movie itself is famous, but like everybody I know, if you had to pick like I know of who's seen like Amityville type stuff, if you had to pick an Amityville movie they had seen the cover for that wasn't one of the first 3, it's probably Dollhouse.
Probably this one, yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
So this is Amityville Dollhouse from 1996.
This is directed by Steve White. Steve White done anything?
The producer of literally all the rest of the Cursed Objects movies.
We just said that in the last episode, so yeah. I knew that. I'm just testing you.
He directed something called Cabin Boy, according to the back of this.
Cabin Boy?
All right.
This is definitely a step back from the star-studded Cursed Mirror movie.
Sure.
In that there really isn't a huge name in this. It does have, and I'm going to be honest here, considering it's my literal least favorite of the franchise, I don't think it's a selling point that your gore and effects are done by the guy from Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dreamchild. That's my least favorite of the franchise.
Back it up. You said this is your least favorite of the franchise?
No. Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Oh,
my least favorite of Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
I was going to say, holy fucking shit.
How did the YouTube one top this, right?
Fuck no.
Where's your wife? She just take you to the fucking hospital.
No.
Yep.
But what I will say is, like, yeah, they on the back of the box they go out of their way to say impressive and plentiful creature and gore effects by Roy Kinnear, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5: The Dream Child. Now, I barely remember the effects from Nightmare on Elm Street 5: A Dream Child. Want to be clear.
There's some awesome effects in that movie.
I'm not saying that he did bad work in this movie in a general sense. I am saying you didn't have to put that movie's name on the back of this case. Because that did not set me up for good expectation. But anyway.
I'd say of that movie, the only thing that's enjoyable in it's the effects.
Yeah, that's to say.
Because that the motorcycle, when Dan turns into the rider, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's all it's got going for it.
It is all it's got going for it.
I'm legitimately curious. I'm going to check and see if they could have picked a different movie to put on there instead. That would have been of interest.
Yeah, well, they're hoping someone's like, oh, the effects guy for part 5. That's a selling point.
Okay, I got one already. I've got a visual effects credit for 1 second. Let me make sure it's also special effects. Darkman, 1990. Mirror Mirror 2, Chuck.
Not as good as Mirror Mirror.
Uncle Sam, Night of the Demons 3, Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return. But what I was going to say is he is listed as visual effects for The Abyss.
So
that would have been a better thing to put in there.
That would have been a better one, yeah.
He was also first assistant on Slugs. But anyway, there are better choices you could have made than advertising with that.
Yeah. But that's the most famous out of all those you named, though, would be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
That's true.
It
is the most famous.
It's the Nightmare on Elm Street name itself. I agree with that. I know. Yep.
All right, so the last Amityville plot synopsis we'll be giving for quite some time.
Yes.
If James has anything to say about it.
Yes.
So we have a family moving into a new home. The family's just coming together. I think they're not even married yet, I don't believe.
I can't tell. I don't know. I mean, it's obvious that he's not with his wife anymore because that's brought up multiple times, and her husband's dead. Her ex-husband is dead. Yeah.
So she's got a young son who's very nerdy. He's got an older athletic son and a very young daughter. They move into this home. They bought a plot of land. I think this takes place somewhere like in L.A., California.
No, actually, no. It isn't. It's in New York.
Ah.
It is intended to be Amityville area.
Okay.
I wasn't aware that there were too many deserts.
According to the back of the box, quote, unknown to him, the previously barren property was once the site of the infamous Amityville murder house.
Oh, so after this,
I am not kidding.
So, all right.
So you're telling me they bulldozed the whole area?
That totally makes the movie make a little bit more sense in my complaint department. But okay, so the house has been torn down. It's now a desert. And so he builds this new house. Takes him, I think he says, 10 months. And they all move into it. The first time they've ever seen the house is the day they move in. The only thing one of two only things remaining from the previous is the fireplace. So he makes it.
Go ahead. I'll explain in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. So once they move in, there's an old building. He's trying to get, of course, the kids all to like one another. The one kid is very against all of this because he misses his dead father. And he kind of hates Bill. And he kind of hates his new older brother, and seems to like his sister now.
Kid's super nerd, though.
Yeah, that's the super nerd. I did not know there was a kid that I could pinpoint as more nerdy in portrayal than Sheldon Cooper. And I fucking hate Big Bang Theory. But
it sucks.
This kid's pretty bad. Like, you almost don't blame the Big Brother for not liking this kid.
No.
But
he ain't Big Brother, but you know what I mean.
So there's an old dilapidated shed.
Chained up. Is the shed.
Okay. Those are the only two that I know of then.
And the third thing is implied to be what's in it.
Oh, that goes along with the second, so.
Yeah.
That's all in one.
That's all I meant. Good.
Breaks the chain on it, goes inside. There is a big dollhouse that is the Amityville home. And
the opening credits kind of go through the home. And I will say I appreciated the nice touch that you can see at one point there's an axe in one of the rooms of the yeah.
Yes. So strange things start happening. Fireplace kicks on because it's gas powered with a switch now. Kicks on in the middle of the night. He brings this into the home because he wants to, clean it up. It's in the garage. His daughter's birthday's coming up. The truck magically gets put into gear and runs over her brand new bicycle, so they have to give her the dollhouse.
And it's strange box full of stuffed people.
Yeah, little white dolls that came inside it.
Yes.
So yeah, that's about it.
But it isn't too long before the woman starts lusting for the older son there.
What is it with this movie and familial weird fetishes? I'm sorry, what is this franchise? And
it's also not too long before Dead Daddy starts walking around the house.
And this is also the third maybe movie of this franchise that has a heavy involvement of two characters with heavy involvement in the occult and like ghost and skepticism and mysticism.
They're just borrowing from the previous movies at this point.
Which,
it's the third one with
characters.
like an incestual.
Yep.
Of course, then these two aren't.
This one's not incest.
This is marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, which is even weirder in some ways.
This is just like Pornhub type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, it does good in the effects department. There's a bunch of stuff going on here.
Some stuff doesn't quite work as well. Like I wasn't a huge fan of. I'm not going to spoil. I'm just going to say the burn makeup at one point. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I thought that could have been a little better, but I also wasn't a fan of the demons too much.
The boys' other half, the older teenage boys' other half. She just goes and don't come back. Does she? I mean, like after what happens, and she just don't. We never see her again, do we?
Well, I mean, we see her again.
She's in a coma. That's what you know, and we see her again. Yeah.
Well, they got rid of her pretty quick. So I'm saying though, but I don't know, man. It's definitely a unique take on this Amityville stuff with the little dollhouse, and it's not the worst thing to have a zombie walk around the house trying to put the son up to bad stuff. But
each time we see him, he's more and more decrepit, which I like.
That is done well. That is done well. Yeah.
Because it's almost like his son's not doing what he wants, so he's coming back, and each time he's still nice to him because he's his dad and he needs him to do things, but like he's scarier,
he's
more menacing each time to kind of make him do it.
One of the problems I have with it is when he comes back, as he comes back more and more, he does kind of start to tilt more towards comedy.
He gets a little goofy.
Overacting, and that's a little weird.
Mm-hmm. This may be the only Amityville movie where we have a bunny that dies in the movie, right? Ain't that a bunny? Or what's
that
this?
Is not
what's
a bunny.
What's the
fucking mouse,
not
Chuck?
A bunny, dude.
That's a mouse.
That's about 20 times smaller than a bunny.
What kind of rabbits do you have in Tennessee?
Well, okay. Obviously, there were some times in this movie where I was drifting off a little bit.
Sometimes.
I mean, I don't dislike it. I watched it real late though. Yeah. And there is like a lot of stuff that happens in this movie to comprehend. Like I said, you've got the dad angle, you've got the lust angle, you've got the kids don't like each other angle, you've got the friend that just so happens to be in the coldest angle going on.
It's aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the aunt.
I don't
the aunt trying to figure
Marla and Uncle Tobias. Yeah.
Well, the aunt figures out what's going on pretty quick, but she doesn't really do much to do anything about it until later on.
These things take time. You can't just make a circle.
Oh yeah, I mean, the whole movie spans over like 3 or 4 days.
Has to be, yeah.
Yeah, but she tells the little girl, just make a list of everything bad that's happened in the house.
It's not a bad idea, honestly.
Yeah, a spider was in this movie.
Yes, tarantula.
Yeah,
and like a spider, but
I mean, and there's a lot of there's a lot of. Well, I don't say a lot of, but each Amityville movie, for the most part, at least includes one sex scene.
Since in these direct-to-video ones, yeah. That's the thing. The direct-to-video ones, they feel like they have to have at least one. Yeah.
You gotta have at least one, and they meet their quota, I think, every time. I don't know if did we have one. Yeah, we did have one in the A New Generation.
Yeah, we had one in New Generation.
We had one here, and then that's when
technically had one in Curse. It was kind of shitty, but you had one.
Yeah. So. I mean, there's a little bit of a formula with these Amityville ones, although, like I said, at least with these, it's always something different. The dollhouse was a nice effect. The ending where people were in the dollhouse, technically, is a little bit weird, but besides that, yeah. And what's those things inside those little stuffed people, by the way?
So the implication was, as through all the Amityvilles, that, and again, this is where you mentioned, tying back to the original, bugs! This movie loves its bugs.
It does.
When was the last time we saw a fly in this series, by the way?
Wasp, actually, in this case. But yeah. The implication is, like, they say at one point that when they pull a bug out of one, that it's a big bug, but later they claim they're demons. So maybe it depends on where you're looking at the bug from. Which side of the realm you're looking at the bug from. But yeah, this definitely is one that has a lot of bugs. To it, not nearly as much as it used to be, where you get a whole swarm of flies that cause your car to crash, but it's got that back again in it. I don't know if I agree with the back of the case that this is the last and most over-the-top entry in the 90s Amityville franchise. It's got moments. I won't deny that it is over the top.
If we're talking over the top, maybe About Time might
92.
That's what I'm saying. I think About Time is more over the top.
Yeah. This one here is good though, but it's definitely random. But I believe that we may have to give that to the other one for that particular title there.
But I know I'm trying to make sense out of a fucking direct-to-video Amityville sequel here, but
what are you trying to make sense of?
Why would there be a dollhouse? Of all the things.
There were kids. They had kids in the first movie.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, okay, I got a better one for you. Why would there be a dollhouse? Fine. Good question. Better question.
Yeah.
According to this, it's the site of the infamous Amityville murder house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Murder house. Murder. Where's the arson coming in?
Yeah, well, we just ignored the fact that the house burnt down in part 3, right?
Why is this on a fucking cliff?
Yeah.
In a fucking desert.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay, maybe it's not a desert, but
right.
It's close enough to a desert.
It's excruciatingly hot there.
It's enough to know that this ain't where the house was originally.
No. Oh God, no.
Yeah. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, at least even in this series right here, in the first one we did, The Evil Escapes, when they had their yard sale, wasn't it pretty well established that this is the whole neighborhood?
Yes.
Now the whole neighborhood has been plowed off.
They were neighbors.
Well, they also basically were getting ready to demolish the house, and they were going to put new stuff in. But that being said, when you demolish a house, you don't turn it into a desert.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So, that's something that might need some explaining to do. You didn't get to watch the interview on this disc. I wonder if he actually explains any of that stuff.
That's the thing. I legitimately want to know what the director says in his interview. There's also an interview with the cinematographer, who, for the record, the reason they got an interview with the cinematographer is they probably could have gotten it 2 for 1 because he's also the cinematographer for Demon Wind, which Vinegar Syndrome also released.
It all comes together.
And then they also got an interview with Roy Kanirim about the special effects. Like I said, I have nothing against the effects in this movie. It's just it's the Nightmare on Elm Street 5 thing that got me.
I think the effects were great.
The effects are pretty good.
The effects hold this one together.
There were a couple of things, but that's the thing. That's what I feel is, like, you could say this is pretty over the top. It's not the most, but it's pretty over the top. They throw a lot of shit at the wall to see what sticks in this movie. A lot of crazy ass, just get it in there kind of shit. And you could make that exact same argument, for example, about Amityville 2: The Possession. You can make that argument about Amityville, It's About Time. But in both of those movies, the movies make sense. They flow better. Even as crazy as they get, they flow well. I never really got super attached to the crazy shit that was happening. I appreciated the crazy shit that was happening. It looked cool. I could tell the through line of the story with the family. But at the same time, it felt like they were just being crazy to be crazy. And so I didn't kind of get pulled in as much as I did with any other one in this set. Because I was just kind of like, it was kind of like in other movies, Amityville movies, the thing has a modus that it works with. The mirror does its thing the way it does its thing. It may go beyond that, but it does its thing its own way. The clock does its thing its own way. Generally speaking, with exceptions in each movie mostly, it does its own thing in a particular way. It has a plan. I can't really tell you what the Dollhouse has as a plan in this movie.
Just cause trouble.
I mean, it's just an agent of chaos, you know?
Yeah. Entertaining chaos, though. I mean,
yes, entertaining chaos. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It just makes a whole hell of a lot less sense.
I kind of wish we had maybe more of a body count in this one because this is one movie where I wouldn't have been too heartbroken if the nerdy kid bit the dust.
But then you lose the interplay.
Well, you kill him at the end. It'd be all right.
But
we have a weak male lead, though. I think he's a weak male lead. I will say.
Yes,
that.
he is. He is.
That's the one thing this thing lacks is there's no strong lead.
The thing about this movie is like you can watch this and be like, it's decent, it's good, it's entertaining, but you can legitimately pick out a better version of every character in another Amityville movie in this set. The main character, you got a better lead male actor in New Generation.
Yeah.
You got a better son in It's About Time. You know, you got a better wife, technically, if you want to fill that role that way, in Evil Escapes.
This may be why this is the last one, not counting the Bella Thorne movie.
You know, so it's good. It's fine. It's also probably the weakest of the set in this, at least in the Vinegar Syndrome set. But that being said, in my opinion, that is the weakest. That being said, it's still better than 3. And I've been thinking about it. I'm not sure yet if it's better than the original or not. I'm on the fence.
It's better than 3. It's on par with some of the other ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's definitely better than whatever that one we did on the YouTube watch. Which one was that? What was that one called?
Amityville Curse, the most appropriately named movie in the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, because like it does have flaws, but because of the effects and because there's so much crazy stuff going on in it, I'll still give it a favorable review.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my third favorite in this set. I like this more than A New Generation. I am going to rate it the same as A New Generation. I'm going to give it a 3. But
what a coinky dink! I'm giving it a 3 as well.
If I had to say, like, if there were a variation of 3s, this would be a high 3, and like A New Generation would just be a solid 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would have this. I'd have this on the lower level of 3, but 3 nonetheless.
I'm torn on whether I think it's better than the original or not. I'm inclined to say yes, and only in the sense of advancement. The kind of shit they do in this movie they could never have done in the 1970s, and it makes it more entertaining because of it. And so because of that, it gets, like you said, a straight, like in your case, what you said with New Generation, that's this for me, straight 3. It's not high 3, it's a straight 3. It's the weakest for me in the set, but it's still absolutely none of the movies in this set don't deserve to be here. All 4 of these movies are good movies.
Yes. If there is an Amityville set to own, it's this one.
Yes. Yeah. And it's got a better box.
Oh, hell yeah.
A trend-setting box, because after that box came out, now there's a different companies using that same box style now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
In fact, if I may check for a moment, let me make sure before I say these words.
Are you talking about the Dawn of the Dead set?
No.
Oh, so I think Dawn of the Dead set comes in that.
So, damn it, type properly. There we go. Load, please. There we go. At present, it is $60 on the Vinegar Syndrome website, which is the only place you can get this as a set.
Correct.
Individual movies can be bought from places otherwise, but the set itself is through a Vinegar Syndrome website. It presently lists as 137 copies left. I don't know if that is the last 137 copies left, or if they will reprint it afterwards.
They will not reprint it because they've released these single.
Yeah, they only brought a few copies to the last convention where I got mine as well.
So if you are seeing us review these and you are interested in these, they're $60 right now. If you wait for Black Friday, they won't last long if they make it that even far.
Yep.
Yeah. Good set.
But you can always buy the individual discs from Vinegar Syndrome or Diabolic or Amazon. All 3 places have them. Diabolic's actually had them for sale on their website before Vinegar Syndrome even announced them as singles on their site.
And we're not getting nothing out of saying this, but if you're going to buy one, just get them all. Why would you just buy one of these? You might as well just have all of them.
Well, it may be a price thing. They may be able to buy the 4 individuals cheaper than buying the box set, if it's a money thing.
Just as long as they get all of them, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
Well, sure.
Because I can't see somebody being like, I'm just going to buy Dollhouse and I ain't buying none of the rest of them.
Definitely don't do that. Not in the sense that it's bad, but you're missing out if you do that.
For sure. These all are good movies. And
good movies, good transfers.
Better than I expected, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure all 4 of them have interviews with the director of the movie. A few of them, I don't think all of them, but a few of them have interviews with the writers of their movies. And New Generation, I haven't listened to it, but it has an actual audio commentary with its director. Because he is, like, over the moon, like, proud of his movie because of how much effort and work he put into doing it because of
Don't forget about all the cool alternate covers here.
Yes, the classic.
That are blurred out because of the technology, but there it is.
I don't have mine down here, so sorry, guys, there's no clear version.
But I had to Google it. It'd be all right. It's on mine. But, yeah,
I still have this down here, though.
Yeah. Ain't even been opened yet. That's
haven't even been opened yet. I've been busy.
Send it to me. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I've been busy.
So, somehow, we get through this retrospective, the first half of this retrospective for this time of year, and we didn't do the Bella Thorne Amityville movie.
You want to do
later.
15 damn movies? We're going in order, man.
Yeah,
we're doing it in order, Chuck.
All right, okay. Whatever you say.
And I realize, and I think W does too, and so do you. In doing it in order, we are going to have a lot of pain for quite some time when we get to those indie stuff.
but fun.
But fun.
We'll have fun talking about them, and we'll want to fucking kill ourselves watching them.
Fun. That may be the week that we get a prescription for Xanax before we.
Not me.
But that is not going to be for a long, long, long time.
They have about 3 months.
That's probably a few too many longs in there, but it's going to be a long time.
It's going to be a while.
We're going to celebrate some random holiday month just by doing this. For Valentine's Day, it's going to be Amityville movies.
Hell no. Valentine's Day, you do movies that are actually about love, not movies that are about crappy families and bizarre fetish love.
We're going to do chick flicks on Valentine's Day.
I've already got a plan for that month, so.
Do you now? Let's do to us.
So now we're moving on to our 3 recommendations for Halloween, right?
So this was a suggestion by my wife. She thought that since a lot of people talk about what kind of things they recommend for like Halloween and stuff, and not to put too fine a point on it, some of them suck at it. That we should kind of give our opinions of, and I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, that any of us said the original Halloween, because of course not, because you're gonna watch it anyway if you like it. My intention was that we try to go. They may not be super obscure, but either you might not think of them as Halloween movies, or if they are Halloween movies, they're quintessential ones that most people don't, that aren't horror fans, don't go out and look at. And some of them, like we talked last episode, they probably aren't from after 1990. So maybe you haven't seen them, and maybe you should. So you want to go first?
I don't know. So mine may be a little typical on some points.
It depends. That's fine. I got a couple. I got one typical one.
All right.
So I already told you guys my 3, and 2 of them we watch on Halloween every year, and it's, if you know me, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. You get a great transfer watching it from Scream Factory.
Tonic.
Now it gets a little harder after this one, but Trick or Treat, old Sammy Kerr. Good luck fucking finding a copy that's not a foreign region.
And also, even if you find it in America, I will check right now while you're doing it, just for shits and giggles, because I like to. Incidentally, by the way, fun fact, apparently people are complaining because they're getting kicked off of eBay for trying to sell Serbian film.
Well,
didn't we talk about that?
Obvious.
I saw it happen again, is what I'm saying. Someone just posted about it recently. It happened again. Yeah.
I need to sell that cardboard copy of mine.
Apparently, Mercari will let you sell it. Continue.
And then it gets just as hard because my other film is a French film, and I think it's available. And for all the movies that we talk about here, I'm going to put a link. But I'm pretty sure you can get a DVD of this. It's called Livid. I have a imported Blu-ray from France, but it is an awesome, very atmospheric film. I'm not going to say what kind of a film it is because it's kind of a
indescribable.
It's kind of a little twist on the genre that it goes into. But teenagers, they're like, we're going to break into this old I think it's like a haunted house, or this woman's daughter died, and she kept her in the house all these years, blah, blah, blah. And it's on Halloween, so there's your big Halloween thing. And there are trick-or-treaters in it, and some of the trick-or-treaters, they come down in a line, and they've got the 3 masks from Halloween 3 on. But it's a great film. It's slightly artsy, but it's got a couple of good scares in it, and a couple of great kills, and a crazy, you wouldn't expect ending. And because those 2 are so hard to kind of come by, I'm going to throw one more at you, and it is Satan's Little Helper.
Yeah.
You can still buy that in the States on DVD. I'm sure it's probably streaming somewhere.
Yeah. Jeff Lieberman will always have a home on this podcast.
Yes. And if you do watch that and you like it, Vincent and I did a commentary for it years ago. That's how I first started talking to Jeff Lieberman, because he was apparently Googling himself and found it and watched it and very much liked it.
Yeah.
Which is always good.
Oh, yeah. But it's a great film.
Real quick, just to say it, there's a 1986 Blu-ray, a Blu-ray I'm seeing here with like Trick or Treat: The Ultimate Comeback written on it. It's sold for $30 today, Blu-ray. A copy of the DVD sold for $18 plus $4.50 shipping today.
That's not bad.
German, not bad. UK import sold for a $13.27 plus $3.81 shipping from the United Kingdom today. But there are people selling like one for $30 a lot. There's a German import that's actually called Ragman. That's $23.95, $2.95 shipping. So you might be able to find it for a good price if you're lucky. Probably can get it for about $20 on a DVD that someone's selling it for. That seems to be a going rate, about $20, $25. It's definitely worth your time. I don't understand for the life of me why the one releases it on a Blu-ray in America or on DVD again. It's
music
a license.
Problems.
Probably, but honestly, Vinegar Syndrome would probably try and push past that since they put out like vinyl sometimes. Scream Factory puts out vinyls now. They could probably partner with someone. You know,
I think RCA owns the rights to the soundtrack because the soundtrack was done by a band called Fastway, and it's actually the fuck's that fake Irish punk band? Fuck, what are they called? Flogging Molly.
Oh, yeah.
It's their lead singer, and guess what? He doesn't have an accent.
Fake Irish.
Well, he's probably really Irish, but he's got to have a gimmick to sell millions of records.
Oh, he's Vincent.
Livid is... What was that?
I said he's Vincent.
You can get a import DVD of Livid on Amazon right now for $7.80. And an import Blu-ray, the one that I actually have, is like $31. But for an import, that's not bad.
Well. So, you want to do yours or mine, Chuck?
I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way.
Okay.
I'm starting off with a more modern one that worked its way into my rotation since it came out. I'm going with Tales of Halloween, which is always impressive. I like the almost Pulp Fiction style, where after a while the little stories interact with each other. Which when I show that to new people, they seem like they enjoy it. So I think it made a modern day classic there. You know, I was obviously get torn on whether or not there should be a sequel, but maybe we should just keep it there. You know, speaking of movies that should have just kept it there, Tales from the Hood is my second pick because you can't go wrong with Tales from the Hood. I think that's one of the best anthologies ever made. And while it's not Halloween per se, it definitely has a mood and a vibe to it that works well on Halloween night if you watch it late. And for my third, another modern day one, I'm going with the WNUF Halloween special, which, you know, may not be for everybody, but if you like it a lot.
And it's streaming on Shudder right now.
I need to watch that.
There you go. You've not watched it?
I've not watched it.
It's just like you popped in an old VHS tape of old Halloween special, and there's commercials, and I think when the commercials
what else did they put out?
So the thing with WNUF, I remember it was back when I was actually still doing reviews, so I would get
Call Girl
emails.
Cthulhu.
Yeah,
that's right.
I would say I got emails still all the time from Alternative Cinema back when they still put stuff out, and every so often it was good stuff. And that was who did WNUF, Call Girl of Cthulhu, Atomic Brain Invasion.
They put out the Slime City stuff.
Slime City stuff, which Greg Lamberson's been beating the drum for like reunion Zoom calls and stuff for a long ass time.
They put out Zombie Babies in the first two Pork Chop movies.
They did.
That's a choice. That's all I'm going to say.
Just saying.
That's a choice.
And all the Misty Mundane movies.
Yeah. Which, for the record, wonderful person. Wonderful person. Great and sick girl. Sinful is a great movie.
Not wonderful films.
Sinful is a really, really good movie, and it's probably partially because it's not one of the movies you're thinking of. Thinking of all of her softcore, etc. shit. Sinful
That's all I've
is
seen.
Really weird.
I've not enjoyed any of them.
Sinful is. They put out this movie she did where it was like, it's like low budget Inside, where she's like fixated on having a child, you know, and so like she has like a visions and stuff. It's actually really well done, you know, and how she does in Masters of Horror in the episode Sick Girl is also a pretty good sign of how she can handle stuff. Yeah, it's just apparently she does a lot of softcore and it's all kind of shit because that was the way the early 2000s and late 90s was in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, good person. Nice lady. So I'm gonna start with my obvious one is the obvious one. I'm picking it for a particular reason, which is instead of trick or treat, I'm going with trick or treat. And the reason why is it's still, I think, injustice how it got treated, in that it was, we're gonna put it out. No, really, we're seriously gonna put it out. Okay, now it's available in very few theaters. You can barely see it. Now it's on Blu-ray. Surprise! And like, I don't know, like, it's a tradition for my wife and I to always go to a Spirit Halloween store at least once every year. And right now, because it's kind of progressed, for the last 2 years, there's always been Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas. Tons of like housewares for that. Tons of Hocus Pocus. This year, for the first time, they had like a Sam pillow and like a full head Sam mask. Like, they're going all in on the trick or treat right now. Yeah. And I'm really glad to see it. I'm hoping it gets more people to actually seek out the Blu-ray and watch it. Is it perfect for myself? No. It's like you mentioned, you like the Pulp Fiction-esque thing where it kind of folds back on itself. It does that really well. And it really does kind of keep its anthology around Halloween tone really well done. Definitely think it needs to be seen by more people who aren't horror fans, and more people who are horror fans who may not have given it a chance really should, kind of thing. Second one, actually, I literally put this on the list last night when I watched it for the first time in about 10 years, because I completely forgot that Halloween was involved in it, and that's May. I mentioned it last episode. I think May is probably one of the more underrated movies of the last 20 years that people forgot about. Angela Bettis is fantastic in it. Anna Faris is acting her ass off doing something, even if you can't entirely explain what it is her character is beyond a walking fetish.
I hate her.
In the movie, you mean, or in general?
In general.
In that movie, basically, she's playing like 6 different fetishes and doesn't know which one it is. And it's kind of awe-inspiring in how it goes.
I need to rewatch it.
It works in that, like my wife pointed out, my wife pointed out the reason she's that way in some ways is because, like, she's supposed to be a fetish, but the thing is, that doesn't matter to May. May's only interested in her neck. You know, so as much as she's trying to be sexy, that's not what's actually sexy, in essence, in May's mind. But, you know, if you don't know the plot of May in a general sense, you know, Angela Bettis is this socially awkward woman, works at a vet clinic, and basically is on an eternal quest for companionship and friendship. Talks with a doll she was given by her overbearing perfectionist mother, who is her best friend. The doll, that is, not her mother. And thinks she's finally found someone who's perfect, only for everything to go haywire and cause her to have a psychotic break. And the reason it can be mentioned here is because the entire last half of the movie happens on Halloween and only works in some ways because it's Halloween. Because it makes her able to go places and do certain things and see certain people in certain ways because it's Halloween. And it does get that vibe because of that. But it's very well done. Definitely a unique movie, not for everybody in terms of how it's very much its own beast. I don't think there's another movie that's really fully like it. It certainly borrows from a bunch of stuff, but in terms of like legitimately the same movie, there isn't another movie out there like it.
Who originally put that
out? Lionsgate. Hence why my bet is on that next year we'll probably see a Vestron of it.
That was back when they was buying everything, right? They had merch set pieces and everything. Okay.
It is, and I will point out, worst. I did not know this until I watched it yesterday with the subtitles on. The only things on it are a few commentaries, the famed Lionsgate move the mouse clicker over onto the logo Easter egg where you see the May trailer, and then a bunch of other random stuff no one cares about trailer-wise.
Yeah.
And then I was watching, and the subtitles are horrible. Like, they misspell May's last name in the subtitles. And one of the most famous lines in the movie is, "So many pretty parts and no pretty holes," spelled WHOLES. And the subtitle spells it HOLES.
Wow.
I'm just like they didn't even fucking try, basically.
They was probably saying, like, there ain't nobody going to use these subtitles.
Right, exactly, yeah. So hopefully I'm right, and next year someone gets a hold of it and puts it out, because Lionsgate is doing jack and shit with it right now. But it is definitely worth seeking out.
And best believe that James will watch it with subtitles to see if they're corrected.
Of course I will, only because I like watching things with subtitles.
Wasn't Vincent in love with this girl back in the day?
Yep.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Got into a heated argument with his second, like
I could,
long
see
time
in your
girlfriend.
I could see in your eyes you counting in your.
I was.
Over this character?
Because she didn't think that she was worthy of his affection. Because she's not, Angela Bassett is not an attractive woman, at least not to me, but to Eli, she is, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, different strokes for different folks, you know.
Basically.
She was the other girl wasn't having it though.
Of course not. The third movie is actually not the one I told you earlier because I realized something as I was sitting here, and I was like, "Oh shit! I completely forgot that movie has Halloween involved in it. It gives me another opportunity to talk about it." Good luck finding it though. It's Sexy Killer, Morass, poor Ella. The entire last half of the movie takes place on Halloween. In the middle of, in fact, the ending of the movie takes place in a Halloween party and stuff. But the most brief synopsis I can give is it's a horror comedy about a woman who's a college student and a serial killer, played by Macarena Gomez from Dagon, and she is just going about her usual serial killering ways, breaking the fourth wall to the audience. Meanwhile, there's two guys in a mortuary who discover a way to bring back the dead to life, and their paths cross, her and one of the morticians. She thinks he's a serial killer. He just thinks she likes him. And so hilarity ensues. All the while, these morticians have figured out how to bring back the dead, and that's not something that's going to just go away in the movie, basically. So it's definitely worth your time if you can find a way to see it, because I don't know why no one puts it out in America. You can get a DVD, I think, on Amazon. It's UK.
It's like $20-some.
I think something like that now. It's Spanish, so if you don't like subtitles, I am sorry, because there was never an English language dub version that I know that was put out unless there's something on that DVD. It's like $23 plus $4 shipping right now. But it is fantastic. It is one of the first movies my wife and I watched together when we first started dating. She loved it. I love it. I think it is probably one of my favorite horror comedies, and it's definitely up there in terms of stuff that I love that I know for a fact that no one's seen. And so if you can get a hold of it, it's
maybe one day we'll have to do it on this show, maybe.
There was a point where you could actually watch it, I think, on YouTube. I don't know if it still is a thing, but I think that got pulled down at some point.
You know what Halloween movie doesn't get any love?
What's that?
Murder Party.
No, it don't.
No, it doesn't.
Which is available at most Dollar Trees now, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Magnet got a hold. Dollar Tree got a hold of a lot of Magnet stuff.
Yeah.
So.
We were talking about that last week.
I watched it on Netflix first time I ever seen it, but I have a DVD of it.
I haven't watched it, but I've seen like a lot of articles about it. But I know it's about a party that takes place on Halloween and definitely kind of fits the vibe.
Somebody needs to buy all these Magnet titles and give them proper releases.
I'm waiting for that. That's going to happen. I mean, it's been about 7 years since half of those came out.
Well, here's the thing. Under a label that like under a real indie label, a Magnet movie did come out like last week, a new Magnet movie.
And that would be what?
I don't know. it may be Magnolia instead of Magnet. One or the other.
Magnolia and Magna, the same thing. Magnet was just there. We're edgy and horror-y and international.
Magnolia was the parent company, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I tell you what needs to get on Blu-ray if it ain't already, or at least a special edition. Splinter.
Splinter had a Blu-ray already. Yeah, I know because I have it.
Yeah. Well, it needs that. Well, at the time it came out, I didn't have Blu-ray player, so I got a DVD of it.
I feel like it's a Scream Factory area, because Scream Factory is doing things like Green Inferno and Splinter and the 13 Ghosts remake. What I'm saying is they're running out of stuff to do before the year 2000 that actually matters. Yeah. So that's why they're getting into 4K Ultra HD and Steelbooks. But if they want to actually start keeping new stuff, they're going to have to dig in somewhere, and that'd be a prime place for them to dive in.
It would be.
I was sick once, years ago, and I had a sore throat. And I'd put on Twitter that I felt like I had the monster from Splinter stuck in my throat.
Yeah, that would fit.
And Scott Weinberg tagged Toby Wilkins,
something like that.
I think it's Wilkins, and said, "You better watch out. Toby Wilkins will sue you over that." And then he responded. He's like, "I won't sue you, but I hope you feel better."
I thought we was gonna have another story of how like Vincent was sick.
Well, I was gonna say
Eraserhead on repeat one night.
I was gonna say if he says you feel better, that makes you wonder what the hell happened. That makes him say that.
Okay, you just said Vincent's Eraserhead thing. So, Family Guy recently just came back, and they're like 3 episodes in. 2 episodes in, the guys are dumpster diving at the bar, and Peter's going through the duffel bag, and he's like, "Oh, look at this is great. Oh, look at this is great." And he pulls out an Eraserhead VHS, and he goes, "Oh man, an Eraserhead VHS. I'll watch this if I never want to sleep again." And then he's like put it in his back pocket. So I had to rewind it and video it, and I sent it to Eli. And I said, "This is you," and he's like, "Oh my god, it is." That was probably my favorite 8 hours of Eli's existence, when he was in so much pain that he couldn't get up to turn Eraserhead off, and it just kept looping and looping and looping, and he couldn't go to sleep, and he just had to fucking suffer.
Did he figure out the meaning of it in that 8-hour period?
No.
Are you sure? He probably hallucinated what he thought it was.
Probably dreamed about it, bro.
Yeah.
I like the Eraserhead for the record.
I've got that limited edition that comes in the big cardboard box.
I've got the Criterion Blu-ray of it.
The Criterion Flash that I mentioned yesterday. I got the Lone Wolf and Cub set for that one.
I've had that for a while. I bought that at like a secondhand place, and they were selling it as if it was just the DVD version of the first movie. They didn't have it listed. It was a Blu-ray box set, obviously, the Criterion one. And the price tag on it said $20, and said it was the DVD version of Lone Wolf or Shogun Assassin or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just walked up there. I didn't tell them no different. Bought it for $20 and was very happy.
It has all the discs.
All of them.
Because that's hilarious. Because that set is 6 Shogun Assassin movies and 6 Lone Wolf and Cub movies and Shogun Assassin.
Yeah, I got it for $20.
Like I got it because I bought the Anime Igo one they did that was like 6 Lone Wolf and Cub movies. I also have their version of Shogun Assassin. Yeah. And I'm going to eventually get rid of my Anime Ego one because there is like no special features at all on that. So I can toss that and keep the current one. And then the Criterion one doesn't have special features really for Shogun Assassin. And the other one does. So I can just have the special features on the Shogun Assassin Blu-ray I already have.
I feel like I haven't watched all the Lone Wolf Cub movies. I feel like I watched Shogun Assassin. I feel like that's probably the epitome of the whole set, probably.
I mean, it's 1 and 2 edited together.
Yeah.
So, Shogun Assassin is fucking great.
It's all the good stuff.
I need to watch them. I just need to watch them in general, but I mean, the whole set is just...
If I watch the individual movies, is there anything as good in those movies as in Shogun Assassin?
I mean, the franchise is the franchise. Like, I haven't watched literally any of them yet, but I know what they are. I know what they're like. I know what... there's a reason that the manga is classic, basically, in terms of
take Shogun Assassin. Take Shogun Assassin. Take Lady Snowblood and throw in some spaghetti westerns, and you got Kill Bill.
Yeah, that's
pretty much.
Yeah, literally.
Which I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Lady Snowblood, the first one. I don't really care for the second one.
Yeah. First Lady Snowblood was awesome.
That's one of the things I've liked a lot about Criterion in the last, let's say, decade, is they suddenly realize they don't have to be up their own ass all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Lady Snowblood gets released by them. Lone Wolf and Cub gets released by them. Night of the Living Dead. I haven't gotten it yet, but they did a Blu-ray of that. Silence of the Lambs. I know they released it originally, but they did a new one.
Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of Souls.
Which looks great, by the way, on Blu-ray.
That Bruce Lee collection's the first...
Yes.
The first Criterion anything that I'd bought in years.
Godzilla.
In years.
Oh, you didn't buy the Godzilla set? Okay. But yeah...
Couldn't afford it, even when it was on sale.
I understand that. But yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. That's my Barnes & Noble pick, because I'm going to get the Bruce Lee set and probably some other stuff. But definitely that at least, because I got a gift card. But That Jackie Chan, Police Story and Police Story 2. The special features on that is amazing because it's got like footage from an old VHS he did, I think in the 90s, like Jackie Chan My Stunts, where he's like explaining how he does stunts at the Jackie Chan stunt school. It's got like that classic goofy 90s, early 2000s VHS transitions in it and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did do like Dress to Kill and stuff too.
Yeah,
so.
Dress to Kill. Yeah. Like they've gone in a direction where they've actually started kind of doing more than just your standard expected Criterion Art House fare. And there's a place for that. I'm not saying that. Like Criterion's always, they put Houseu out on Blu-ray originally, you know, like they have a place, they have a purpose, but they are kind of also realizing they can go a little further out and still be art house and call them art house.
Not that I'm complaining because I like most of the movies, but how come every Wes Anderson movie automatically gets Criterion release?
They probably have a deal.
They might. But I'm not complaining. I like 90% of his movies. Maybe 95% of his movies.
Did Fantastic Mr. Fox, was that Criterion?
I
think it was.
I think they didn't put it out, but I think everyone is expecting them to eventually.
They always double back on them.
Fox was the one who got that originally, and when that goes out of print,
Right.
I guarantee Criterion will get it.
Well,
I wonder how Fox got it to begin with.
I think maybe they went with a name. No. Incidentally, I didn't talk about this in the news on the last episode, but I do want to bring this up. I'm a fan of the Resident Evil movies. I love Paul W.S. Anderson. What the fuck is that Monster Hunter movie?
I don't know, but I'm interested. I've not seen a trailer for it yet, though.
So, all I'm going to tell you is, and I know you haven't played the video games. Okay, I'm going to preface by saying that. So, I'm going to give you a briefest thing I can of the video games, which is, you're a guy in this fantasy world. You go out into the wilderness, hunt these giant creatures, take parts back to your place where you live, and try and make life better at the place where you live, and build armor and stuff out of it. And you have like a small cat friend who goes with you in some of these games, like in the most recent one called a Palico, who helps you out with stuff, and they make you foods. But that's what it is. You go out, you hunt monsters, you collect the stuff. The monsters are epic and amazing, and you make stuff out of them. Okay. I have not seen the trailer either, but why the hell does this need to be military? If you're making a Monster Hunter movie, apparently Mila Jovovich is in it because of course she is.
Of course she is. And I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay with that too. I like Mila Jovovich. I said I like the Resident Evil movies. Fine. But why is she in the army? Why is it the military? If you want to make that movie, don't call it Monster Hunter.
Well, there's a long history, you know, boys, of video games getting messed up when they go to movie form. You know, like I like Resident Evil, the first one, maybe even the second one. I feel like when we got to the end of them, it was a little bit too far from where they began because I feel like we left the horror element really behind and went more to the action.
The last, I haven't seen the very last one. Mm-hmm. But I started like drifting away from it the two before that. All the others, like 1, 2, 3, 4, I enjoy.
Some of the later ones, I wrote a review. I forget if it was Final Chapter or Retaliation or one of them. I wrote in the review basically that the movie had stopped all pretense of like horror, but that was also more like a video game because it felt like she was going from level to level because of how the movie was structured. And I was kind of like, that's an interesting take. Like, I generally like most of that franchise, even if I don't think they're scary.
I feel they should have stuck more with the video game source.
Sure. They do a little, but they go way too far off.
I mean, the first one's I thought the first one was probably the more accurate one with the game, wasn't it? I mean,
in general, yes. Although everyone is right to be pissed off at the fact that you've got all these characters in the original game and fucking none of them are in the movie at all. You got to make a whole brand new character.
They try to like redeem themselves and
throw them in later. Yeah.
Yeah, bring Chris Redfield in and
Jill Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for the record, that's to date my least favorite is probably the second one, but it's still fine. A little too goofy for me. I will say though, since you mentioned video game movies, did you hear that on track right now? This is the first year in quite some time that the #1 superhero movie will not be an MCU movie. Technically, if you consider it a superhero movie, because the top superhero movie, according to what I saw on Twitter, would be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Which is okay movie if you're a kid, I guess. I watched it. I didn't hate it. But,
yeah, it's on your Vudu, isn't it?
Yeah. But you know, as far as we're talking about video game movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
At least we're not in House of the Dead territory, right?
I'm just glad Uwe Boll stopped making movies.
Ain't that the game you used to sit in the little booth with the guns and
Yeah.
when that House of the Dead? Yeah.
That's the movie where Uwe Boll decided to make a video game movie. What he really needed to do was use footage of the video game as jump cut scenes. And where he realized that when the movie sucked, the way he needed to fix it, I'm hoping you guys know this, the way he needed to fix it was to re-release it in the funny version, where he like inputs fart noises and like splices in commentary of himself ripping on his own movie and shit like that. Yeah. I am glad he stopped making movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I never really hated the guy, but just, you got to take a hint at some point. He ended up with so many video game movies, too. He was a cottage industry.
Yeah, he also boxed a lot of reviewers on,
a few
boxing match.
3, I think.
3, yeah. That's the Raging Bull, they called it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I bought his movie Rampage at Dollar Tree. I think it's part 2, though. I've not seen the original one, but I've heard it's decent, though.
I've heard Rampage and Postal are probably thought of as his best 2 movies.
Yeah.
And Postal, thinking of Postal as a good movie from what I've heard is kind of like, Postal isn't supposed to be good in a traditional sense of the word. That one's one where he's intentional. Postal itself was a crap game, basically.
Yeah. Well, remember Blood Rain?
Which one? The ones where he was actually making... The one where he was attempting to make Blood Rain. The one where he made a sequel with Kristanna Loken. The one where he made a sequel, but she couldn't do it, so they brought in someone else. Or the time he thought he figured it out and decided, because it worked so well the last time he did it, to make what you could call the funny version and remade Blood Rain with a fat person and called it Blubberella.
I didn't know he did that.
Yes.
There's only 2 Blood Rain movies, right?
Blood Rain 2, and Blood Rain the Third Reich. That's the one without Kristanna Loken. Yes. In fact, if I recall correctly, because it doesn't have Kristanna Loken, I don't remember the rule of it. I read it in a review. It's either the first 2 movies, there's nudity. The third one, there isn't, because the person who was playing Blood Rain wouldn't do the nudity.
Oh.
I don't remember any nudity in it.
Or it's reversed, one or the other. Yeah. But yeah, Blubberella is a thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Okay. That's definitely a unique character, that old...
Uwe Boll.
What's his name?
Uwe Boll.
Uwe Boll. Who gets mad when he doesn't reach his goals on his crowdfunding.
He has not made a movie in years because I think he's legitimately done. He stopped. I think he couldn't get his German tax credits anymore because that was why he made them. Tax shelters.
Yeah. He didn't. Even if his movies tanked, he made money in Germany.
Yep.
And he made fun of the fact that stuff was getting funded and none of his movies could get funded on crowdfunding.
All the time. Let me check.
Fund the movie about the family in the woods, but you don't fund my movie.
Yeah, classic. The classic video. Actually, no. He announced this year because it's this fucking year and it's 2020 and it can't stop kicking us in the face enough. He announced he is going to be returning to making movies and has announced Rampage 4, The New Blood, and Germany in Winter as his next projects in development. He hadn't made a movie in 4 years.
Yeah,
before that
reminds me. I seen a poster where apparently they're going to make Adam Chaplin 2 now.
Huh.
Which, that was a pretty decent flick.
It was an interesting movie. What was the second one?
Tater City.
Yes.
Yeah. So, good time. Good old German splatter movies. With a lot of CGI splatters.
A lot of CGI.
And Unearthed films, but we're not going to... I mean, Unearthed Massacre. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, and so we're at the end of Amityville. The end of the whole first half of this saga. How do y'all feel about it? Was it everything y'all thought it would be more?
I'm legitimately surprised.
It was good.
I'm legitimately surprised in the latter half of it that the goofy cursed object movie ones. I didn't mention this when we were talking about Dollhouse, but apparently, according to Wikipedia, I will quote this real quick because it's fucking moronic, but it's true. Mm-hmm. So, you know how they make those lists that are the 50 movies you should see before you die, the 100 movies you see before you die?
Yep.
quote from Wikipedia. The film was featured in the 2010 book 150 Movies You Should Die Before You See, in which reviewer Steve Miller wrote, quote, "Don't bother asking why someone built a dollhouse replica of a place on Long Island. Don't ask how it ended up in a shack in the desert or how it became filled with evil. The writer and director barely gave any thought to the project. The film was rendered less scary by the fact that no one seemed particularly distressed by the weird developments." Bullshit. Wrong. Fuck him.
Agreed.
But what I was saying
minus the house in the desert thing, though. That's
if we had started this and you told me that I would like literally every movie in this box set with the exception of one, and that's close, more than I liked every movie in the other box set, I would have said you were crazy.
See, I had seen them all going into this, so I knew. Of course, Amityville
2 is the only one that
right.
gets high marks on that,
but like I don't think I'd actually ever seen Amityville 3D until now. Thanks. But anyway, I mean, that's my own doing. But thank myself, yeah. But I knew that these 4 films were better than at least those first 2, and I had no high hopes for 3D. So I kind of knew that you were thinking that.
Honestly, it's less these. Here's the thing. Legitimately, it's less about these. It's about the future. And I'm not talking about the movie you're thinking I'm talking about. Okay? Because I know that when you make a movie called that, there's a thing it's going to be. It's the concept of, I made a movie about a cursed lamp. There's a thing it's going to be. Fine. I can deal with that. The indie shit that comes before that is what's going to drive us crazy.
I bet Amityville Vibrator is better than the majority of the other films.
I would not be shocked.
I guess we'll see eventually.
Eventually.
So this is going on Halloween Day? Is this Halloween Day?
Approximately, probably a little before it.
It'll probably be a little before, but yeah.
Well,
but happy Halloween. Make sure all your stuff in your house is not cursed.
If you can't go trick-or-treating, just stay home and listen to this.
Or do the thing that some places are doing, get a nice long tube of cardboard, stick it to your mailbox, and just drop the stuff down the thing toward the kids at the other end.
If you're still getting fast food out of a window, you probably shouldn't be too concerned with getting candy on Halloween.
No. Look, I have my own opinions about trick-or-treating, which is basically this. I long ago stopped trying to get people to stop doing stupid shit in this situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could tell you all the reasons that that's fucking stupid, and it's not going to stop anybody from doing it. So if you want to do it, be as responsible and as safe as you can. If you get kids coming to your door, do it as responsibly and safely as you can. And this is not a bad thing to watch.
And if you're sick, don't answer the door if you're sick.
If you're sick, put on a plague doctor mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the record, I that is my one hope for this year's Halloween, is I will be sorely disappointed if there is not a giant spike in plague doctor costumes this year.
Oh, there should be. Also, after we've wrapped this up now, we're beelining toward our holiday season, which I know we got November to get through, but, Christmas is around the corner, boys. So it's never too early to consider what we're going to do for Christmas.
So I have 2 things to say on that front. First of all, I was wondering if your thoughts on November would be the same as mine, which is it's going to be a real boring attempt to make a best movies of the year list if we don't have a lot more movies from this year. Mm-hmm. So we're probably going to have to go digging through some Shudder and Netflix and Tubi and
we can do that.
Some 2020 stuff mostly for the next few episodes.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, I'm going to regret the shit out of this, saying these words. I've never watched a Silent Night, Deadly Night past the first one. There's 6 of them, if you count the remake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that out loud. You heard me. I'm going to regret the shit out of saying that, and I know it.
But You're not, though.
But what were you going to say otherwise? What was your idea otherwise for Christmas?
I didn't have an idea for Christmas.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
and that covers 3 weeks.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. I've seen them all. It's been a while, but got to throw the remake in there.
That's what
Silent Night. The remake's great.
I know. I have it. I'm saying I just haven't watched it yet. Yeah. I have all of them. This is like I could do it. It's just
Well, sounds good.
And I also know that Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 will be real easy because all I have to do is just pretend I've seen half the movie already.
I mean, you're only missing like 30 minutes.
I know, right?
I wish there was a version that took out all the footage from part 1, but I guess you wouldn't have much of a movie, would you?
No.
Short film.
All right, fellas.
Short film about garbage day.
My bladder's about to explode.
You've got to cook chicken?
I've got to cook some chicken at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Probably not in that order. Well,
yeah. Thanks for watching. Share, subscribe, all that do it stuff. And have a good Halloween. Watch some movies. Eat some candy. Be responsible. And come back in November for apparently 2020 movies. Let's do it.
That'd be the most sensible thing to me. Power of Cast compels you.
There you go.
Shut up, Chuck.